What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a really good day, and I hope you guys had a really good holiday or a couple holidays, New Year's and Christmas. I hope it treated you right. Today I'm going to continue working on my truck. I've got kind of a precarious situation going on in the background, so I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of what I'm doing. It's just going to be, I guess, a video where I'm kind of moving forward. I'm planning on trying to get the new bed on my truck. I already got the camper top off, as you saw in one of my last videos, and I got a couple fenders, so I'm just going to keep moving along on my truck. But let me show you what's going on in the background. Alright, so I've removed the camper top off the bed, and then I also put it on the stands, but now I'm in a situation where I kind of want to remove this whole thing by myself. So I'm like, well, let me try to figure out the best situation about that. I came up in here and I pretty much just ratchet strapped everything down to a frame. I added 2 posts here on each side and just kind of screwed them in. Those screws were the worst to put in, but it worked. So like this whole camper top like is completely suspended, and as you can kind of see, like the whole thing just kind of moves, and I'm pretty sure this thing is like a couple hundred pounds, maybe more, which is really surprising because it's fiberglass. But I'm like, man, I really don't want to hurt myself. So I mean, this is kind of crazy, but if you're doing it by yourself, I guess this is kind of the way to go. I just picked up this engine hoist from Hazard Fraud, so anyone could, I guess, do this by themselves too. But I'm gonna go put this camper top off to the side so I can flip this bed over here. This is also weighing like 400 pounds, so I need to figure out a way on how to flip this over. And I'm also going to use the engine hoist to kind of hoist it up into the air, because I did it with my I did it with this bed actually, and I'm going to do it with the bed that's on my truck, and then we're going to go ahead and put this on. So yeah, just kind of hang tight and let's see how this goes. Alrighty, everybody, I just put it on these stands right here. My backyard's a mess, so I kind of had to try to find a way to put these on the stands and get it on top of something at least. It was a mess. It did kind of tilt down onto one side and it freaked out a little bit, but we got it in its temporary home right now. I'm really excited about where it is. Now I'll be able to also pick it up from the stands as well to put it back onto my truck once I get the new bed on, and which is going to be great. So now the new New Mexico bed can get salt brined on these roads and completely get rotted out, which is going to be great. Anyways, all right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break, and the next part I'm going to try to get the bed up and off and hopefully remove my bed, and I can show you guys how to remove your truck bed and put on a new one if you want. Oh boy, here we go. Yay! Oh,
oh my god! Did the other one come out too?
Maybe.
No.
Alright, guys.
There's nothing in there.
Here's my whole wheel well. There's an ice chunk. It's crazy.
I didn't hear it snap either, so.
Yeah, so far success. Pretty good. Heck yeah. Alright. Alright, guys, completely removed the bed here. with my lovely assistant. Everything's looking great. This is everything that was underneath the bed. As I showed you, there's like this gigantic like ice thing that was underneath my my fender, and I have it here in this section too. But look at this. This bed is awesome. Completely from New Mexico. No rust. Fantastic. I mean, there's a bunch of holes and things in here for, I don't know, maybe the previous owner had some things kind of screwed into here, but maybe I can do the same with this later. But this bed's looking like it's in really good shape. I'm really excited, and we're gonna go ahead and get this onto my truck, which is over there. I'm gonna use my engine hoist again, which is pretty much what I used to remove and flip over the bed to move it actually in near my garage. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that with some ratchet straps to actually just remove it from the whole backside of the truck. And you can do it too. You don't need any fancy forklifts or special equipment. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and get to it here. Alrighty, so once you've kind of gone ahead and gotten rid of everything that I just mentioned previously, I like how I actually just said, oh yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to remove the whole wiring harness. I went ahead and actually had to do that because this side was actually really bad to get in there. It was super rusty underneath, kind of hurt getting in there to unclip it, and I couldn't figure out how to unclip it, so I needed to take this side out to figure that out. Now, there was 8 of these bolts, and you can kind of see from the factory there's some Loctite, and there's 8 of them. There's actually 2 back here. I think I can kind of show you, but there should be one kind of back up in there, and my spare tires right here, which is going to be beautiful looking. There should be one tucked up underneath there. You can probably kind of see it right next to the tire, and then also passenger and drivers. So there's that bolt right there, and then there's also this hanging ground strap that I removed. That was a 10mm bolt, and then there is also another bolt right here holding your bed to your frame. Now these bolts are actually 16mm. Yours might be 15mm or 17mm, depending on how they have swollen over time or not, depending on the climate that you live in. So yeah, I went ahead and removed this electrical stuff like I was talking about. There's actually just a plug underneath here that you can just remove and not worry about it. Mine's broken right here, so it's kind of dangling up in there somewhere, so I'm not going to worry about this. But now I'm going to go ahead and take my hazard fraud, or Harbor Freight as I like to call it, engine hoist, and I'm going to use these ratchet straps I got from Home Depot. These are really nice because they're like automatically ratcheting, or they don't automatically ratchet, they automatically reel back in, which is really nice. And I think they have a 500-pound load capacity each, so that should be enough to take it off. So I'm going to take 4 ratchet straps, and there should be 4 hoist points in the bed. There should be one kind of up in there, there should be one right there, and then there's 2 more in the back, and there's one right there and one right there on each side. So I'm going to hook up the ratchet straps, and yeah, we're going to see how this works. Let's get to it. Okay, so I also didn't realize that if you have bed rails in the back of your bed for a 5th wheel gooseneck like the previous owner I guess had on this vehicle, I didn't realize it tied into the frame, so I'm gonna have to get rid of those bolts as well. That's probably gonna be a pain in the butt. It only seems like there's one really big bolt tying into the frame, and then a couple that, or rather there's one big bolt that ties it into the bed from the frame, and then 2 that just go straight onto the frame. So I'm gonna have to get rid of the bolts that are on the bed, and then hopefully this whole thing should lift off, because I was like, why isn't this lifting off? I feel like the straps are gonna break. So yeah, good thing I didn't break anything, and I'm gonna try to get rid of those bolts. It's gonna be kind of difficult, so I guess, yeah, here we go. Okay, so I removed the inner fender liners of my bed. This is absolutely crazy. There's so many like sharp edges here. This is crazy. Look at all the rust. So now the problem that I'm coming into contact with, And I think they're 13/16. I don't know what that is equivalent in millimeters. Maybe those two on each side. And we're gonna get rid of it, and then let's see if we can get the bed off. I mean, look at this. This is like why my whole this whole thing is just not like holding on right at all. Alrighty, everyone. I've spent a good amount of time grinding. It didn't take that long till it was dark out, but it got dark out. It gets darker sooner because it's winter still, and I was able to kind of just get in here and cut those bolts off. I was trying to cut off the bracket, but I just actually found that cutting off the bolts itself were a lot better, and they kind of came out like that. So I got that going, and once I cut those off and I had to run a couple errands to kind of get this going, I heard a good old thunk, and I think the bed is now ready to come off. This is going to be crazy and exciting, so we're just gonna, without further ado, let's just get right back into it and take this thing off finally. I think there is a part where my camera actually turned off, and I wasn't filming, so I was able to remove all of the bolts. You guys probably saw that part, but I needed to get some electrical cords that were actually still attached in the back, and they were zip tied to the bed. I think that was from the factory because they looked like zip tie anchors that kind of went to the back of the bed. So now I've got this thing lifted as far as I can go with the engine hoist. Been using a lot of the engine hoist this episode, so it's been really helpful. I think it was like a couple $100 or even less than that at Harbor Freight, so you guys can pick this up too. But so far I have the whole thing completely lifted off, and it's looking really good underneath here. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to want to take care of, but it's starting to get a little sketchy, and I can't really wheel it back all the way. I got a little snow I need to clean up underneath, but I kind of stopped this process, or the video stopped randomly when I needed to actually take out the electrical cords, and I was raising it up. So I'm kind of following up right here, so we're going to get back to it. Definitely don't want this thing this high, but I need to get it over everything first so I can lower it down to a safer height. It just is what it is right now. Oh yeah, okay. All right, we made it to the floor, so I'm gonna go ahead and just push it back a little bit and restrap it down. So far it's a success, and I'm really stoked. So hang tight. All right, everyone, I removed the bed completely. I'm super stoked. I was able to kind of shimmy it over these giant cracks in my driveway, and I was able to kind of get it a little bit more snugged into its temporary home here. It's great. Man, it took a little while to kind of get this all done, but in one day I was able to accomplish this. So I'm really excited about this. This is super exciting. And like I've said before, this truck lived in Arizona for a little bit, and then it went up in Wisconsin and lived there for another long bit. So it got a lot of rust. It's just, I mean, like, this is crazy the amount of rust is in here, and it's a safety hazard. You just get like your shins ripped off and stuff. So anyways, this is the state of my truck so far. I'm really excited to go ahead and start cleaning a bunch of this off, and wire wheeling this off, and maybe a little bit of paint, and try to get this squared away. Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it would be super rusty, but it's actually not that bad. There's the strap I was talking about. It's looking great. So now I have a great access point to work on a lot of different stuff and get this prepped, and I'm going to winterize this even more once I kind of get this all wire wheeled and cleaned up. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Alright guys, that's going to be an end for today's video. I really hope you appreciated it, and I hope you learned a lot of really cool stuff. I know that this was pretty difficult for me, and it just meant that I had to move a lot of really huge, awkward objects. So I really hope you got some entertainment out of this. But if you did, I'd really appreciate any sort of love and support. So consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to like this video. It would really help me out. And then also don't forget to click on your post notifications bell just so you don't miss out on anything. And with all that being said, that's going to be the end for today. And we'll see you guys next time. Adios.